Hi, Scott and Velda. Velda, I thought I'd CC you as well on this. I'm going to walk you through three resources. Two are actually owned by the college, and one Merlot that might be helpful. I did a quick search through Open Oregon, which is our OER in the state, and I was surprised there wasn't anything on accounting. And I thought something had been done on accounting. So I'm going to do a status check on that with the Open Ed coordinator for the state because I was certain a project had gone through and was funded to complete in that research area in your discipline. But for now, I'm going to show you three resources. Again, one is this one right here. This is Merlot. It's been around for a long time. Actually, you can't see it, but it's funded by California State University system, which, in California, they actually passed through legislation, oh gosh, like 2015, that 50% of their work had to be OER. So one way is to go directly to merlot.org. You can also go to Cool4Ed, COOL, the number 4, ed, and get to some of their stuff. But I find that most of it just directs you to Merlot anyway, so we might as well go to Merlot. So there's a couple things to do with Merlot, and one is we can just, of course, search, and there's a couple different search options here. One is you can search learning exercises, which, Scott, that sounded kind of like what you're interested in, is that kind of activity, so you can certainly search there. You can browse. You can do a basic search or an advanced search. So I'll do a quick walkthrough with all of those because they all have pros and cons, and depending on your search style, you might prefer one or the other. So I'm going to go ahead to accounting. I think I actually kind of like the basic search first, but that's my search style. Search. There we go. Ooh, that was kind of making me nervous there. Oh, and I just closed it. Hello, Jackie. Let me move my screen over here so you can see what I'm looking at. So what you'll see here with items is right now, this is searching a Merlot collection. You could also browse and look at other collections. What's highlighting here, if you can't quite read it, is going to bring up things from OER Commons, OpenStax, MIT OpenCourseware, Google Books, or the Open Web, and which is kind of cool. So the items coming up here are, in general, but usually this is a tutorial. You can see the type. This is a presentation, reference material. These items are generally peer-reviewed, as you can see, and one thing that you can do, we did a keyword for accounting. We didn't go in by subject area, but you might want to go into business, for example, to, look through that subject lens. This is going super slow, and then you'll see the different options that they have for, say, finance versus accounting if you're looking at this a little bit differently. So we can click on accounting to really narrow it down to that area specifically, those 357 works that match specifically to that. And you can see, again, this is a tutorial, this is a reference, this is an open textbook. You can see, again, the peer review, when they were last modified, some of these just within the last week, which is kind of cool. And then where, Scott, I think this might be interesting for you, is you can narrow down to the type of tool. So if you are really looking for, you want some drill and practice exercises, you can certainly look at that. If you want to, find tutorials, simulations, quizzes, you can narrow down and filter to that particular type. You still also have access to the learning exercises. And I know I don't know the answer to what's the difference between a learning exercise and what you see above here, but if you click there, you'll see these 8 items. Looks like it's a learning exercise for cash flow statements. For that material, a learning exercise, it looks like, related to the book Principles of Accounting, and a learning exercise for these particular texts is actually, I think, the answer to that. So let's go back and let's reopen our material search. That's where we just were, that had those filtering options. Oh, my computer is slow, I'm sorry. But again, it looks like it kicked us out of accounting, which is a little irritating here. They have actually improved this database. It's still not beautiful, but when you think about the lot of work that's done for free, it's pretty impressive. Again, if you want to limit to accounting or finance, or marketing, whatever, again, you want to limit to. But you just have to do that first. It's kind of this old-fashioned in order thing. So it hasn't updated yet. Great, we're down to our 357 results. Again, you can see accounting gets even more specific. I didn't point that out before. If you wanted to focus on, say, forensic accounting or managerial accounting, you can do that as well. Or you can go straight to, as I mentioned before, you want drill and practice exercises. That will take you to the 19 exercises, drill and practice exercises. And you can see, you would just open it up this way. So drills for accounting basics. Let's take a look. What it's going to do is, give you an overview of the topic. You can go straight to the material right here. You can look at the date. And the other thing that's kind of helpful, I think, sometimes is you can see what other people have looked at. I'm sure other people are looking for the same thing you're looking for. So you can see this, go through these interactive worksheets, guided financial statements. For example, you can browse specifically within the disciplines, those sub-disciplines. So I don't know, I think pretty useful. You can see, these drills exist for what, up to 22 areas. That's pretty impressive. And again, just clicking go to the material, and that'll take you to accountingcoach.com, quizzes. These are all open source items. Okay, so I hope that's that in a nutshell. What we're going to do now is look at our library resources that you may not be aware of. To get to these, we are going to go to our library databases, and we are going to go to our business tab. Actually, I lied. I'm going to show you one other thing first. Let's look at our streaming media collection first. And for streaming media, we have Alexander Street Press, we have Films on Demand. I'm going to show you really quickly the Career and Tech Ed package first. But they have some useful things. But I find it a little, in some ways, I think it's not as intuitive, perhaps. I mean, you might think it's perfectly easy, but I think it's worth a walkthrough. So again, very easily, you can just do accounting if you would like. And there becomes actually some suggestions, which is nice. There's this whole accounting and finance clip series. It tends to look for things by series. There's this other, series called Accounting Basics and Definitions, Accounting Fundamentals, an entire series. The whole series, accounting, when am I ever going to use this? On the money, the ABCs of accounting series, managing assets and payroll. So actually, if you just find a title right here, you can certainly do that. Or, of course, you can click search and navigate in that way. Totally up to you. As I mentioned, the default is to search by clips. And so you can see here's a 1-minute clip. If you wanted to put this in, use this in your class really quickly, you could do that. Put it in your accounting course. If you want to look at, this is a segment, if you want to look at the entire series, you just click here and that'll take you to the entire series from this particular accounting. This was one of the ones you may have just noticed, of course, was in that title list that had showed up prior. But again, you can browse through these. Some students really like segments. The embed link is right here. You can also share it, fairly easily. I do have to say, of course, these are library resources, so at this point, these can be embedded in Canvas. There's some occasional hitches with students using Safari sometimes as their browser. But if you yourself are trying to look at these from off campus, you do need to set up a library account. You might already have one, but if you don't, you will need to set up your library account to access these off campus. But they work on a mobile device. They work, of course, anywhere you would like to be with an internet connection. So again, I think, fairly self-explanatory, I think. You can also narrow down to business and economics if you'd like to do that. And that just focuses it a little bit more. It takes out titles such as like mental accounting, which I noticed, right? So that just tightens up the search a little bit to 530 results. But this is where you could, finance, accounting, and taxation. Can limit even further to that particular field. And now we're down to 200 that match. So again, I think just, it's not, I don't know, I feel like it's somewhat intuitive, but you might not think of the filters. So I think it's worth a couple minutes to, show you that. So going back to our library homepage, the next thing I'm going to show you, again, from the library databases link. We were just in streaming media. We're now going to our business tab. We have a pretty extensive, for community college, we have a pretty extensive business collection. I intentionally bought Business Source Complete. It's a fantastic database. I'm not sure how widely used it is here. Most community colleges don't especially small ones can't afford it. I decided to invest in it. For this lesson or this subject area, where I actually find something really helpful is the Small Business Resource Center. I like using this. I'm curious how you find it. I think this is a great database to use, not just for small business, but it really lets students get into some really practical elements. It gives some examples. And I found the best way to use this is going to the business topics link here. There's also this how-to that's kind of cool. And you can see there is business topics on accounting, ta-da, financial statements, I'm not sure what else, payroll tax, other things that I'm not sure exactly what your curriculum covers, but these, debt financing might be some things that you talk about. But we'll go straight to accounting here. And you can see they do break down results. This is how they're broken down. So business plans comes up first. You're probably not using that necessarily. They do some websites and videos. I like going straight to the recommended resources because you'll see that reading financial reports for dummies, that might be super helpful for students to read. For example, if they're looking from the Encyclopedia Management, some brief entries here, the key financial statements and their starring role. Again, not financial management kit for dummies. But anyway, I'm certainly not an accounting scholar by any means, but if this is something you might find useful, what you would do is just click here. For example, here is the entire report. You can listen to it, download it, and listen to it if you'd like. If you find yourself wanting to share it with a class, you can. Of course, you can also email it, always print it, download. There's some great features. I will say the save features and the highlights and notes, you do have to create, just sign in with Google and create an account to use this. But, it is right here. I think pretty helpful as you scroll down. Really scroll down. This is longer than I thought. It gives you a source citation if you do end up using it in class. It also gives you related topics. So I think, depending on what you're hoping to do, I think those in Merlot, those drills, those tutorials, those quizzes are super helpful. Browse around. Let me know if you can't find anything. Maybe it's just playing with your keywords. I think the videos are super helpful for students. So if you're looking for homework assignments and you wanted to say, watch this video and, report back on whatever you want your assignment to be, that would be useful. You can do that. And then, of course, this I think a lot of students find very helpful as well, because from here you can go to the entire, item if you wanted to see more about that publication. So anyway, I hope that's helpful. I'm just clicking how to really quick. This is very much organized for, you might look at how to finance your business, but these are very much dedicated to the small business owners. So actually, I've presented on this to small business development centers elsewhere at other institutions. There hasn't been an interest here, but certainly our small business communities that I've worked with in the past has always found this helpful. So your students might find this helpful as well. They might find it very resonating with what they're interested in. So, okay, well, I hope that helps. And I'm sorry that Lumen was disappointing. I am going to double check again with Open Oregon because I was certain one of the accounting faculty in the state had produced something. It wasn't on the current list of available resources, but I'm going to double check on that. And I can maybe get a status check where, yes, that indeed is in process, but the deliverable, say, isn't due until the end of the term, for example. So I'll update you on that. Anyway, yes, please let me know if you have further questions or you want some help digging a little further. Take care.